So they wanted the seventh child. Me being the seventh child, they picked me to go and down into Port-au-Prince and City Soleil and live down there and to work with the president of that time, Papa Dr. Roubaix. But thank God I had a praying mother, and she's still praying. Thank God for that.
Okay, so you're being equipped by this witch to be, I guess, some sort of a priest with Papa Doc Duvalier in Haiti. And how come you didn't go there?
One day, my dad, the witch, and myself, the witch packed my suitcase from a little brown bag. She packed it. She said, "This is a day for you. I'm going to take you into Manhattan and put you on a boat, and we're all going to sail down to Port-au-Prince."
Did you want to do this?
Yeah, I wanted to do it because I was into power at that time, because I was watching some things happen. Man, some things really take place in that realm. And when she told me that I can have free course down in Haiti, I was all for it. With the power, with the money, with the control, being a child, being over a lot of grown-ups, stuff like that, that sort of excited me. And when the day came for her to take me away, they was going to sneak me out the back door, put me in the car, and take me into Manhattan, put me on the ship. I was going to sail down into Port-au-Prince. My mother came out of nowhere. I mean, came out of nowhere. She saw us sneaking out the house, and she said, "Where are you taking my baby?" And the witch said, "It's no longer your child, he belongs to me." And my mother said, "Oh, no way." And my mother grabbed me by the arm and was pulling me. And the witch was pulling me, and I was going back and forth like a tug of war. And something happened to where they got me away from my mother. They were going towards the back door. And before they can get me out the back door, it's like they both saw something that was so big and it scared them. They let me go, and they ran out the door. And I don't know what they saw, but I believe it was my mother was praying, and God must have sent an angel that prevented them from taking me down to Port-au-Prince.
You know what I also found pretty interesting about these two powers that are sort of in competition with each other is this witch used to put curses on people. And you broke into a realm where you could leave your body? Explain that.
Right. I can astral project. I could throw my hand through glass and not be cut. I could put a match under my hand and not be burned. I could do all kinds of different things. One particular time I had a couple of friends of mine who went and got saved. And I mean, they were really saved. And I didn't like the idea they got saved, because I felt like they left me there in that realm. And so I sent out a couple of spirits after them. And I said, "You go there and you curse them. You destroy everything they're doing." Those little spirits came back to me and they said, "We can't touch them." I said, "Go back and put a curse on them. I command you, orders you to do so." And they came back to me again and said, "We can't touch them. They're protected." So I astral project out of my own body, and I went to see the reason why I tell these spirits, and then they come back. And I know I've sent them to do other things, and they never had a problem. So I went to see for myself. And when I got there, I saw the two brothers who were walking around this particular place, and I saw these 7, almost 8-foot tall angels with swords was protecting them every way they went. And I said, wow, that's the reason why those spirits came back and couldn't do anything. These guys got something way stronger than I have. These guys were protected. I mean, protected by giant angels.
I'm curious. Why in the world did your mother stay with your father with these beatings? I mean, how bad did he beat her?
He beat her to the point now where she doesn't have any sight.
Why did she stick around?
Back in those days, Sid, you know, it was different from these days. They taught you to stay with the man for the children's sake. And a lot of the old school women, they did that for the sake of the children. And my mother was one. She was one that believed that.
Okay, these spirits are communicating with you now on a regular basis, and they even taught you as a young child how to get high off of a melting, a plastic gun?
All kinds of stuff. I won't go into say what it is because, you know, in case somebody won't hear, but all kinds of different things. See, what happened, I wanted to shoot heroin with my brothers. I used to watch them tie up and get ready and hit the main line and stuff like that, and I wanted to shoot that. I was only about 4 or 5 years old. And they said, "You're too young. You can't shoot up right now." But I really wanted to, and they said no. And they pushed me out of the room. And so I heard this voice says, "Oh, you don't have to wait for them. I'll show you what to do to get high." This voice, and I could feel a presence right over my shoulder, and he showed me what to do. And so at like 4 years old, I listened to this voice, this evil spirit, and I started what's called huffing. They call it huffing.
Well, let's fast forward, though. Okay, so this voice teaches you how to get high as a kid, how to put this stuff together. You hear this voice again that tells you how to get super high.
Super high, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was 15, just turned 15, and this voice said, "You've never really been high. So why don't you get this real super high so you can brag and boast, you know, tell all your friends and all the drug people in the community, the neighborhood, in the hood, that you can hold your dope." And so he told me what to do. He told me to get the cocaine, the weed, the tubes, there's some pills. These tubes.
15.
Yeah, 15.
And this voice tells you to put all this stuff. What were the pills?
There's some pills that is so strong. You take one pill, you cut that in half, and you cut that half in half, and it'll keep you high for 8 days. Just the half of the half. I took about 3 or 4 of those. Smoked some weed, about $500 or $600 worth of cocaine all at one time. And plus some beer, and I hated beer, but I was at this bar, sitting there at the bar, and the guy said, "Were you going to drink or go home?" So the guy, I think it was a part of the enemy too, for this guy to know I was underage, and he still gave me the beer on top of everything else I've taken. And then I overdosed of drugs. Stopped my heart. It was just too much.
Well, that's what the devil wanted to do. He wanted to kill him because he knows he's making an earthquake now for God.
Thank God.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back to It's Supernatural. Sid Roth has found the key to worldwide revival. This is God's time to reach the Jewish people with his love. Messiah Jesus has torn down the wall dividing Jew and Gentile. The two together form one new man to reach the world. God's method to reach the Jewish people is through signs and wonders. This is why our website, sidroth.org, is jam-packed with tools to equip you to move in signs and wonders, understand Israel and the Jewish roots of the church. Log on to sidroth.org today. We now return to It's Supernatural.
Hello, Sid Roth here with EarthQuake Kelly. Demons told this 15-year-old kid how to get high. Their intent was to kill him. He had 4 different drug combinations in large quantities, and he took it, and he passes out. And his buddies, what'd they do? Take you in a car? And what did they want to do with you?
Just take me home.
What happened?
Well, on the way home, I died. And these group of spirits came out, the same ones that were talking to me, came out and grabbed me, snatched me out of my body, and was pulling me down. I mean, I was going down into a pit. And then when I got to this pit, they started tormenting me. It looked like they was coming from everywhere. They were in my mouth, they were in my eyes, they were hitting me with all kinds of things. They were yelling and telling me that I worked for them and it was a trap and a setup and you did all our bidding for us and now you're in hell. And it was a horrible thing. And
were you really in hell?
I was in hell. Hell's a real place for sure. It's real.
Huh.
It is real. It's not made for us. It's designed and made for the devil and his angels. And that's where I wind up at. That overdose of drugs was a trick from the pits of hell. To get the drugs were a trick to set me up, to stop my heart, to get me lost for eternity.
What did you see?
Oh, I saw all kinds of horror, miserable. It's a lonely, miserable, ugly, stinky, sulfur-smelling, nasty, pitiful, horrible place that you can't even hardly describe it.
Did you hear people say anything?
Oh, you can hear all kinds of promises and people screaming and yells and sounds that just torment 24 hours. 7 days a week of nothing but misery and torment, and I was down there amongst them with them and all that torment. But there was some hands of light came down inside of that place, in that pit that I was in, and grabbed me by my shoulders and started pulling me out of there. And I could see, and even as I was pulling out of there, said those spirits were still trying to hold on to me, saying, "He's ours, he belonged to us." But that hand of light pulled me and took me out of there and put me back in my body. And it says, because of your mother's prayers, that's what I'll never forget, you were spared. And because you were chosen to do a work for us. But it kept saying, because of your mother's prayers.
Who was saying this?
That was God's voice. That was God who said, because of your mother's prayers. And that's what I heard. And then I